Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an odd opinion that just popped up on the YouTubes. Somebody had made comment about the is bowling a sport, or the live stream yesterday about not is bowling a sport. It was actually, let me take a look. Let me figure out where this actually came from. Oh yeah, the live stream from yesterday on thoughts on USBC, is bowling a dying sport. Very interesting comment here. I'm going to read this for you. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. But bowling is a dying activity. It is not a full sport, but a borderline type, the way pool, darts, etc. Even chess is in that category. All right, we're going to stop there for a second. You are considering bowling in the same category as chess. And then you're going to go and basically make it about the physical ability of the game. And you're going to say chess is just as physically demanding as bowling, based on what your comment says here. This is really odd. He says, it doesn't really fully challenge the body physically the way other sports like football, basketball, even etc. Even baseball has been downgraded into a sissy sport where pitchers only go 5 to 6 innings. Now, pause again. Who downgraded baseball? You? I think that's ridiculous. And you know why these guys are only going 5 or 6 innings now? Because their physical ability is so much better and they're so much stronger that they're actually wearing their body out that much faster. The chance of injury is that much greater. To say there's not physical limitations, that there's not a challenge to the body in these sports, I think you're way off base here. It's unbelievable. It says being taken out of a perfect game after those 5-6 innings. Boxing too is a sissy event. You lost me here. Boxing is a sissy event. Okay. Where KOs are no longer what is used to be when it went from 15 rounds to 12. Now, first of all, I mean, your grammar is not exactly very good here, so it's really hard to follow along because you're just not using proper punctuation, and a lot of words are mistyped, it looks like. Americans have become a nation of sissies, so I'm guessing you're probably not from the States, if this is the case. But bottom line, I find it hilarious that you think it doesn't challenge the body, that bowling doesn't challenge the body. I mean, it's only, a 15-pound bowling ball being chucked down the lane 17 miles an hour, a minimum of 10 times a game, sometimes upwards of 20 times a game, and you're bowling 8 games in a block. I mean, no physical demands there. I mean, you're not using your legs at all. You're not using your upper body strength. You're not using your arm. I mean, Ryan Simonelli didn't gain a Popeye arm because there's no physical challenges. I mean, have you ever actually gone bowling and just bowled for 6 games straight by yourself? Tell me you don't start sweating. Tell me you're not sweating and you're getting tired and you're getting worn out and you're getting beat up and your arm gets tight. Like, just tell me these things don't happen, and tell me that there's no more physical challenge to bowling than chess or pool, for that matter. I think that's honestly a ridiculous, or darts. Of all of them, I think darts is probably the most challenging after bowling, because darts you actually have to throw something. Everything else you're not really doing anything. I guess, I don't know, I was baffled when I saw this comment, and I just told him, I said, look, I understand this is your opinion, but in my opinion this is the worst comment, worst opinion. Like, it's unbelievable. And then he goes, and the worst thing is when you make a comment and then you like your own comment. I mean, you shouldn't make comments like this if you don't want to be called out for them. And definitely don't like your own comment. Like, you just posted it 1 minute ago and there's already a like to it. There's nobody saw it and liked that. Nobody liked your comment. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't know. Comments like this are wicked. They're crazy to me. But let's go through a couple other comments here just because we can. All right. Hold on here. Let's see. There was less than 2 dozen kids in the 8 to 10 division this past season in the Columbus City singles tournament. Columbus is actually a kind of large city. One house just shut down due to lease issues. The city is down to, I think, 8 bowling centers. In the early mid-'80s, I bowled at a 1 p.m. Saturday youth league that went house to house around the city that had more teams than 8. If lower participation is dying, then yes, it is. Been doing it for decades now. Okay, another one. Lower participation in leagues. These kids aren't bowling leagues anymore. The kids that are actually trying to be involved at a higher level are simply practicing and then bowling in high school. Because most high schools don't allow you to bowl leagues anymore. They don't let you bowl leagues. You know, it used to be when I was in high school, we could bowl our Saturday morning league and still bowl in high school. It's not like that anymore. Most places don't let you bowl in high school. Some might. I mean, some states might. I don't know. Michigan doesn't anymore, though. They don't let you bowl in high school leagues or in leagues anymore. And then the bowling center's dying. Let's address the whole bowling center's dying thing. When bowling was booming and there wasn't a whole lot of other activities to do, when there wasn't, thousands of things to do across the city, bowling was one of the most popular things. So we had bowling centers popping up all over the place based on, the demographics and the amount of people in the area. Detroit, for instance, in this area, had hundreds of centers, and a lot of them have died off. And it actually has gotten to a point where now we're starting to level out to the proper amount of centers, because there was way too many lane beds for the amount of people that were in the area. But at that time, it was okay because they had leagues full for triple shifts and people waiting in line to bowl and everything else. It's not like that anymore when it comes to, bowling. The demand isn't there for leagues like it was, because leagues, in my opinion, let's just be honest, most of them are a joke. They're an absolute joke. There shouldn't be money involved in them anyway. But again, that's another conversation, which people keep asking me to have that conversation. But that's one that people don't like. And I really don't understand why people want to bowl in league, pay, let's call it $25 a week, where $2 of it goes to the prize fund or something. So you're paying, let's say, $400 for the season to bowl your league. I mean, I know it's probably more than that, but it is more than that. Let's do the math here real quick. 25, and we'll call it a 28-week season. So 28 times 25. So you're spending $700 there just for your lineage, just for the league itself. If you win the league, most times it's not even your money back in a normal league, unless you go and get into one of those leagues where it pays $1,000 a man to win, because that's pretty much the cap. Most of them only pay $1,000, sometimes $2,000 per bowler in these leagues. I think there's a couple in Detroit that pay $1,000 a man per half, so $2,000 total over the league. But even then, you have to win the league to even really make money, So, and everybody else is either breaking. So most times when you're bowling league, why even have a prize fund? Like, what's the point if you're just going to break even at the end of the day anyway? It's basically a savings account is what it ends up being. You put all this money in, and that's why the bowling centers like it, because I know that's how we approached it. We looked at the prize money as, okay, everybody's getting this money back for the banquet, and then when we had the banquet, they would spend all their money in the bar and everything else. Not all of it, but they'd spend a good chunk of it. But at the end of the day, the prize money is meaningless. I don't know if it's just a validation thing for people. They just want to feel better about themselves, because then they've got nothing but complaining, people sandbagging, all these different things that, people are doing trying to win the league over a couple of bucks. Like, it's mind blowing. Now, if there were leagues that were paying, $5,000, $10,000 a man, that could make things a little bit interesting. But again, who's going to pay $200 a week for league or whatever it may be, $100 a week to bowl league? Not very many people are going to want to do that. You'd have 3 teams, 4 teams at most on that. So the problem with that is, the problem with this now with league bowling is everybody wants to pay $20 a week, but everybody wants the first place team to make $10,000. It's just like tournament bowlers. Tournament bowlers want the entry to be under $100, but they want they want first prize to be $10,000, and then they want bottom cash to be triple their money. It's just not doable. You can't do that. Like, what are you thinking? Do you not do math? Like, math it up a little bit. You figure it out. But that's the way it goes. And then if you make an event where it's $100 and bottom cash is triple your money, but then first place only gets $1,000, people are mad. They're like, well, I don't want to bowl for $1,000 I'm paying $100. 10 times your money is pretty standard, but people don't want to do that. $100, they expect to get at least $2,000-$3,000 out of it. Look at what we do at the regionals, at the PBA events. We pay $245 for the event, and most of them are about $2,500 to win, about 10 times your money. That's pretty much standard. That's pretty much how it goes. Bottom cash is usually about double, usually about $450 or so not quite double, but usually $450. You make match play at $600. So it is more than double when you make match play. So you make top 16, you get $600. You make top third, which 1 and 3 is pretty good payout. That's why the PBA events are fun, because you don't have to be a great bowler to be able to at least break even. You can get your experience and go cash, as long as you're a solid competitor and you understand what you're doing and lane play, and you can make shots, you can make spares, you can compete at the regional level. Maybe you won't win much, but you'll at least be able to cash a few checks and not lose a bunch of money and not hemorrhage money as you're trying to run around bowling these events, because that's pretty much what happens to a lot of guys at the PBA national events. That's what I did. I hemorrhaged money bowling the national events last year. I just didn't bowl very well. I didn't cash much. So it's how it goes, so. And then the other thing to think about is, if there wasn't money involved in amateur events, how more likely and how much more attention would the PBA events or the professional events get, the women's and the men's? Because now all of a sudden you have to be a professional to be able, it's just kind of like golf. And I know there's these, scratch side events where people are making money, but they're not these huge, amateur events being advertised all over where, golfers can go and play an amateur event for $20,000. Things in other sports are just approached completely differently, and for some reason bowling went backwards. Bowling did things different. And another topic you can talk about is the U.S. Open. That's the one thing that USBC did that I think was a really good move, was shutting down the U.S. Open, as far as shutting it out of, you can't just pay $500 and go bowl the U.S. Open. It's still open. You just got to bowl a qualifier to get there. And so many people were up in arms saying it was how bad that was and how wrong that was. Why? Because the U.S. Open should be the best of the best. It should have your top tier competitors, and that's it. Joe Blow, who averages 120, should not be able to pay $500 and be able to go bowl and cross with Belmo or Pete. It shouldn't happen. Should not be allowed to do that. Because I can't just go pay an entry fee and go play the PGA U.S. Open. You got to go through qualifier after qualifier after qualifier just to get there. And then even then you might not get there. You might not be able to play. It's the things you got to go through in other sports to play in their top level events is astounding compared to bowling. Bowling, for some reason, we've been entitled most of our life. Talking about like USBC with awards and stuff, people bitching and moaning about $30 for a USBC fee every year. Most places aren't even that much, but somebody was going up in New York, going up $30, and people are complaining that it's gone up to $30. Well, what are we getting for that? You get a governing body. You get to govern. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of USBC either. But I also understand that USBC or some kind of governing body is important for the sport. You got to have something there to put in place rules and regulations and equipment specifications and all that stuff. If you don't, we're in big trouble. Bowling dies. The sport dies. So y'all that think you should get awards and rings and everything else through the year just because that's what they used to do, they screwed up. They should have never done that in the first place. You know what they did? You know what USGA gets for their membership? A rule book. You get a rule book, and I bet you they're paying more than $30 a year. So I'm tired of hearing the people complaining about, well, USBC doesn't do anything. That's just because you have no idea what actually goes on behind the scenes, and you think that awards should be given to people for whatever reason. I don't understand why people think that. It makes no sense. So I don't know, whatever, trash on me all you want and say, oh, USBC bootlicker, but whatever. I mean, I really don't care. Like, it's not me that doesn't understand the whole purpose of a governing body. So if you think you need to get rewards and stuff, talk to your local USBC and talk to your local association, because they're the ones that's supposed to be doing it for you if that's what they want to do with that extra money. Because they've got that extra money. That's why you pay $20 and only $13 goes to the national, and the rest goes to local. They do it for tournaments and running all that little stuff for you. So, I don't know. Rant over. I just want to talk about a couple of those comments and all that here. So, I'm out of here. I got to go practice and try to get better. So, we'll see you guys later.